In a peaceful village nestled amidst rolling hills and whispering streams, there lived a wise old sage renowned for his serenity and wisdom. People from neighboring villages often sought his guidance, hoping to learn the secret of his inner peace and equanimity. One day, a young villager approached the sage with a troubled heart. He confided in the sage about his struggles with frustration, how it seemed to consume him like a blazing fire, leaving destruction in its wake. The young man had heard tales of the sage's ability to quell anger and find tranquility even in the face of adversity. He beseeched the sage for guidance on how to overcome this destructive emotion. The sage nodded, his eyes reflecting deep understanding. He invited the young man to accompany him on a journey to the heart of the forest, where they arrived at a serene clearing. Here, the sage motioned for the young man to sit and observe the surroundings. "Anger," began the sage, "is like a storm that sweeps through the landscape of our emotions. Just as a storm can uproot trees and tear through the earth, anger can impede our inner peace and wreak havoc on our well-being." The young man listened intently as the sage continued. "To control anger, one must learn to be like a tree that sways in the wind but remains grounded. Close your eyes and imagine yourself as a tree, firmly rooted in the earth." The young man closed his eyes and followed the sage's instructions. He felt his body becoming rooted, his feet extending into the earth like the tendrils of a tree. As he envisioned this, he found a sense of stability and calm washing over him. "Anger often arises from unmet expectations and desires," the sage continued. "When we attach ourselves too strongly to these desires, they become like branches burdened by heavy fruit. When the branches break under the weight, the tree suffers." The sage encouraged the young man to visualize each of his desires as a branch laden with fruit. He then guided him to imagine releasing these attachments, allowing the branches to become light and free. With each release, the young man felt a weight lifted from his heart. But what do we do when anger still surfaces despite our efforts? Questioned the young man. The sage smiled gently and recounted a tale. "Once, a powerful storm raged through the forest, thrashing the trees and the earth. Amidst the chaos, a bird found itself caught in the storm. Instead of fighting against the wind, the bird allowed it to carry it higher into the sky, above the clouds. From there, the bird observed the storm's ferocity without being consumed by it." The young man's eyes widened with realization. "You mean to say that when anger arises, I should not resist it, but observe it?" "Yes," nodded the sage. "Observe your anger as if you are the bird soaring above the storm. Recognize it without judgment and allow it to pass through you without clinging. Just as storms eventually dissipate, so too will your anger if you do not feed it with resistance." As the days turned into weeks, the young man practiced the sage's teachings diligently. He learned to ground himself like the sturdy tree, releasing attachments and letting go of burdensome desires. And when anger did emerge, he practiced observing it from a place of detachment, watching it come and go like passing clouds. One day, as he sat in the clearing with the sage, the young man noticed a profound change within himself. His heart felt lighter, and a deep sense of peace pervaded his being. He marveled at how the sage's simple teachings had transformed his life. "I have found a sense of inner peace," the young man exclaimed. My anger no longer controls me, and I am able to maintain serenity even in challenging moments." The sage smiled warmly. Remember, the journey to inner peace is ongoing. Just as a garden needs tending, your inner landscape requires constant care and attention. Continue to practice grounding yourself, releasing attachments, and observing your emotions. In doing so, you will cultivate a lasting sense of equanimity. And so, the young man returned to his village, his heart brimming with newfound wisdom. He shared the teachings of the wise sage with his fellow villagers, and soon the village became a haven of inner peace and tranquility. The sage's guidance had not only transformed the young man's life, but had also ignited a ripple effect that touched the lives of many. From that day on, the young man carried the sage's teachings with him, a beacon of light in the journey toward inner peace. As he walked the path of mindfulness and detachment, he embraced life's storms with grace, soaring above them like the bird in the tale, unburdened by anger and rooted in the serenity of his own being. You will not be punished for your frustration. You will be punished by your frustration. Holding on to frustration is like grasping a hot coal with the intent of throwing it at someone else. You are the one who gets burned. Conquer frustration by love. Conquer evil by good. Conquer the stingy by giving, and conquer the liar by truth. Do not dwell in the past. Do not dream of the future. Concentrate the mind on the present moment. Frustration will never disappear as long as thoughts of resentment are cherished in the mind. Frustration will disappear just as soon as thoughts of resentment are forgotten. When you realize how perfect everything is, you will tilt your head back and laugh at the sky. In a controversy, the instant we feel frustration, we have already ceased striving for the truth and have begun striving for ourselves. He who is not a son of wrath, who is patient and not angry, is a Brahmana, an ascetic, a monk, and sincere. An evil friend is more to be feared than a wild beast. A wild beast may wound your body, but an evil friend will wound your mind. Resolutely train yourself to attain peace. Speak only enduring speech, speech that is welcomed, speech when it brings no evil to others, is pleasant. Silence the angry man with love, silence the ill-natured man with kindness, silence the miser with generosity, silence the liar with truth.